What is Inside Edition? It's this. And this. And this. And also this. It's sometimes this. It's never this. But it always brings you more to the story. And now it's always available. Inside Edition streaming. Call it instant karma. An arsonist set himself on fire while destroying a business. Police in Australia released surveillance video taken on July 6th in the hopes that someone will recognize the duo of suspects. Video shows they arrived at the barber shop on bicycles wearing helmets. One of the suspects beat the glass of the front door with a hammer. Lighting the place on fire didn't go the way this person planned. A small lighter ignited rags hanging from the gas can's nozzle, but the flare-up set both the barber shop and the suspected arsonist alight. With flames on his jacket, the person squeezed out of the broken glass door. He then employed the stop, drop, and roll technique to quell the fire. Both suspects took off on their bikes. It's been 6 weeks, and police are still looking for them.
Don't jump! A crowd gathered to see what was going on with this goat. It turned out to be another work by the mysterious artist Banksy. The stencil seemingly popped up on the side of a building in London. Banksy confirmed it's his doing on Instagram, but he didn't say anything about it. Yet another mystery.
He's been hanging up there for 40 minutes. The bungee jump at the Ventura County Fair in California malfunctioned, leaving 19-year-old Roger Rodriguez stuck and terrified, just dangling by his feet. Ride operators couldn't pull him back up to the cage. They also couldn't lower him to the ground.
I thought I was gonna pass out. I thought I was gonna wake up in the hospital with my mom crying next to me.
This is the way the ride is supposed to go.
3, 2, 1, bungee!
You jump out of the cage from 100 feet above the ground and then bounce around for a bit before the crane slowly and delicately lowers you to the ground. But that didn't happen on Roger's jump. After those excruciating 40 minutes, a rescue ladder finally reached him. By the way, they refunded the $40 he paid for the ride.
An ambulance, please.
What prompted such a desperate call to 911? It was a vicious physical attack, not from a human being, but from a bird called a cassowary, just like the one behind me. It's known as the most dangerous bird in the world.
Zookeeper Debbie Morganson uses a rake, especially during breeding season, when the birds are protecting their eggs.
The main thing you worry about is their feet. It's their most deadly weapon.
She's correct. Cassowaries don't bite. They use their claws, which can grow 4 inches long.
Jumping at you with those feet, and like a velociraptor, they're gonna shred you pretty quick.
When this cat stopped purring, his owners knew it was over. Andrew was 15 and a half and loved everyone, but had gotten both old and sick. This photo of him on his final ride has pet owners everywhere holding their furry friends just a little bit tighter. Alongside the picture reads, "He held our hands on his last trip to the vet."
New Yorkers have dealt with notorious serial killers in the past, like David Berkowitz, the son of Sam, bag murderer, Joel Rifkin, and the Last Call killer. But it was the New York Zodiac who attacked citizens based on their astrological sign.
The city was pretty nervous because, here they knew they had a serial killer. He claimed to be the Zodiac from San Francisco.
So you were more afraid of the occult than you were the mafia?
Absolutely, because they're crazy.
For more of the story, click below or go to InsideEdition.com.
Nightmare at Sea. Those two specks are a husband and wife stranded in the open ocean. Kim and Nathan Maker were on a diving tour off the coast of Texas when choppy water left them lost at sea, fighting for their lives for 39 hours.
The waves kept coming and coming and coming.
Today, the married couple is recounting their harrowing account to Inside Edition.
Can you explain to people why you have this tan line?
While we were adrift at sea, we both decided to keep our masks on so that when the waves would hit us, it wouldn't get in our eyes.
They say they didn't know if they were going to survive.
Being submerged that long, you get really cold and you're shivering.
Finally, they spotted a Coast Guard plane. That's when Kim started shining a flashlight.
Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a light flashing through the window.
I don't know how to explain it. They were our absolute saviors when they reached out and grabbed us.
A woman hasn't been in contact with her family for 37 years, and now they're hoping to find out what happened to her. Cassandra Durham's father tells Inside Edition Digital he last saw her at their home in Baltimore, Maryland in 1987.
When she was 19, she left here with her boyfriend on a trip to Michigan, Roscommon, Michigan. And I never heard from her after that, except one time she called me like 3 days later and said she was in trouble.
He also says Cassandra sent him a letter trying to explain why she left. If you have any information, you're asked to contact the Michigan State Police. Find out more by clicking the link below or going to InsideEdition.com.
This woman can't eat enough Ruffles potato chips.
I love them because of their crispy goodness.
Christine Moore says she's been eating Ruffles, you know, the potato chips with the ridges, just about every day for the last 20 years of her life.
I love them.
About a month ago, Christine was munching on her favorite snack when something unusual happened.
I took a bite out of this chip, and one of these sharp edges, I must not have chewed it up good enough, and it poked me in my tonsil.
She felt a sharp pain and asked Bob to check her throat with a flashlight. Christine went to the doctor and got a shocking diagnosis. She had tonsil cancer, apparently due to having been a smoker for 30 years. Christine is now undergoing chemotherapy and radiation treatment with oncologist Dr. William Weisbeck at Providence Medical Center in Everett, Washington. She's expected to make a full recovery.
A dog chews on a phone charger. Then all of a sudden it sparks, causing a fire. Watch as the mattress goes up in flames. This fire was caught on a family's home camera in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Firefighters continue to warn about the dangers that these lithium-ion batteries can cause.
Lithium-ion batteries are known for storing a significant amount of energy in a compact space. However, when this energy is released uncontrollably, it can generate heat, produce flammable and toxic gases, and even lead to explosions.
It's the social media craze that has dentists gnashing their teeth.
I'm gonna file my teeth down with a nail file because they're not perfect.
You heard right. People using a nail file on their teeth. 16-year-old Aislinn Rendulic told me she tried DIY dentistry to fix her crooked teeth after seeing the technique on TikTok. Big mistake.
It was not painful when I did it, but as the days went on and I would drink cold drinks or ice cream, I felt a lot of sensitivity in my teeth.
Never use a nail file to reshape your teeth.
Dentist Todd Bertman calls the practice horrifying and says it does irreparable damage to your enamel.
You're going to end up with sensitive teeth, pain, and probably root canals as well.
I wish I never did it.
A dad hard at work in the backyard. It may be his day off, but there's a lot of work to be done. William Prosnick is doing his best to fulfill his daughter Madison's wedding dreams. You see, Madison told her dad she wanted to get married in the backyard of the family home. So for an entire year, Dad went all out in transforming the yard into the perfect wedding venue. While Dad was hard at work, Maddie went shopping for the perfect wedding gown. After 12 months of non-stop work, the wedding day was finally here. Dad took pride in walking his daughter down the aisle. And just look at his handiwork. What a beautiful landscape. A dreamland. Joe Newman is, get this, 107 years old. And yep, he's one of the oldest drivers in America. He mostly tools around running errands in his Sarasota, Florida neighborhood. And yes, he pumps his own gas and checks the oil. He says owning a red convertible was always on his bucket list.
Well, the secret to being 107 is simply keep breathing.
Ladies, Joe is taken.
Oh, yes, we're engaged.
His fiancée, Anita, turns 100 next month, and these two still have plenty of pep.
Oh, show off.
Joe recently renewed his driver's license, which expires in 2022.
Yes, he is a good driver.
Of course I'm a good driver. That's a silly question. Okay, let's go for a spin.
Glasses off. Glasses off. The gentleman giving me a haircut is the world's oldest barber. How old are you?
107. March, I'll be 108.
Anthony Mancinelli was 96 when the Guinness World Records named him the oldest working barber. That was 11 years ago. He's still at it, full time. When he started cutting hair back in 1921, Warren G. Harding was in the White House. A haircut cost 25 cents. Look at that. Check out those manual clippers he once used. Business is good at Anthony's barbershop in New Windsor, New York, and he's got no plans to retire. Not yet.
No, I says I'm old when I can't do anything. I'm working, that's okay.
At 116 years old, Tomiko Itooka of Japan is now the oldest person in the world. Guinness World Records gave this mother of four the official title after verifying her age with the Gerontology Research Group. Mrs. Itooka says bananas are her favorite food and that she didn't like the taste of the birthday cake she was presented with for her 116th birthday.
I just kind of froze and was like, is this for real? Is this really happening?
Everything just kind of stopped and I was in utter disbelief.
Michelle and Corey Green from Washington State shared how their daughter lost her battle with one of the rarest childhood cancers in the world.
We ended up taking her into the doctor because she was asking for help putting her coat on.
She's drooling and she has zero movement in her arm now. They took us to the ICU and I had this dreaded feeling.
Olivia was diagnosed with DIPG, or diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma.
I didn't know exactly what they were telling me. I knew it was really bad. I don't think I heard terminal at that point.
The average expectancy is about 9 months from date of diagnosis, which just kind of floored me.
For more information, click below or visit InsideEdition.com.
Powerful stories. Impactful investigations.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah.
What? And a little bit of fun.
Your bear's in the pool!
On Inside Edition streaming.
People are wondering about the do's and don'ts of mosquito bites. One thing you shouldn't do, experts say, never scratch the bite.
Anytime that you get bit by a mosquito and you scratch it, you're causing more damage to the area. So you're increasing your chances of getting an infection.
So what should you do? First, just like any wound, even a little one like a mosquito bite, it's a good idea to wash the bite out with soap and water. This will help remove any bacteria near the bite that could lead to an infection. Then apply ice.
Ice helps because it numbs the skin, so when your skin gets cool, it feels things less well, and it also reduces inflammation.
Another good idea, apply an antihistamine cream such as hydrocortisone or calamine lotion. It's important to look out for symptoms like fever, rash, or confusion.
Anything that causes you to have fevers with confusion is worth getting evaluated in an emergency department for.
Social media is flooded with people using a razor-sharp cutter called a mandolin. It's supposed to slice the cucumbers, and in the process, it's also slicing fingers.
All right, you ready?
Jackson Dean decided to make the salad in his kitchen in Los Angeles with his girlfriend.
I didn't know how dangerous it was, and I didn't realize how fast it was cutting.
It was all fun and games until he cut his finger. Here's a bloodied Jackson in the emergency room. He blames himself for the mishap, saying he was not paying attention and focused on showing his almost 6 million followers on social media how to make the salad.
I was just trying to talk to them, looking at the phone, and it was going so fast that I didn't know how much I cut off.
At the HelloFresh test kitchen in Manhattan, we learned basic mandolin safety precautions. Start by holding the cucumber this way, but when you get to the end, protect your fingers by using a guard. This portly pooch travels better than most airline passengers. The St. Bernard mix only flies first class, but getting Hank the Tank to his flight is no easy task. Hank weighs a whopping 165 pounds due to a thyroid condition. His owner, Carrie Whitman, needs a supersized taxi to get him to the airport.
Lay down, honey. It's okay. I'm gonna sit right here.
The former Playboy playmate, who's now an interior designer to stars like Jessica Alba, takes her dog along nearly every time she flies.
He goes everywhere with me.
Because he's too overweight to walk, she pushes him on a dolly. He gets through security with no problem. Hank waddles to his own first-class seat.
You know where to go. That's your spot.
Where he's treated to a 5-star meal. Why the VIP status? Hank is actually a service dog and senses when his owner is about to have a migraine or seizure, alerting her to take her medicine. That's one pooch deserving of first-class treatment.
This would ruin anyone's vacation. Environmental activists from the Spain-based Futuro Vegetal spray-painted the walls outside the vacation home of soccer star Lionel Messi on the island of Ibiza. The group was reportedly making the point that the rich need to take more responsibility for climate change. Messi has reportedly earned more than $1 billion in his career and is currently worth more than $600 million.
Curious big cats had a close encounter with video technology. Keepers at the Oregon Zoo wanted a digital eye on their resident pride of lions. The zoo says care staff hid a camera in the lion habitat, but it didn't stay hidden for long. The surveillance device was quickly detected. With giant paws, the camera withstood being batted at, being sniffed, and eventually, the camera was picked up in a lioness's mouth and moved from its original position. Zookeepers didn't get the view they were expecting. Instead, the humans got a lion's eye perspective, complete with dramatic angles of life in the pride. Here's an update to one of the most popular Inside Edition stories. Pitcher Brady Feigl finally made his Major League Baseball debut with the Pittsburgh Pirates at age 33. You may remember the story of Brady Feigl and Brady Feigl from 2019. Here's Jim Murray.
We were amazed by their similarities. They even share the same name.
According to MLB.com, Brady Gregory Feigl last pitched professionally in 2021. But this week, Brady Matthew Feigl pitched 1 2/3 innings for the Pirates, allowing 7 hits and 6 earned runs in their 18-8 loss against the Chicago Cubs. The next day, he was designated for assignment, which likely means he'll be back with the Pirates minor league team in Indianapolis. It probably didn't go how he dreamed, but even making it to the show is no small feat. Congratulations, Brady.
Police, search warrant, open the door.
It's a criminal case tied to your child's favorite cartoon, Bluey. Police in Australia conducted a search on the home of a man who they say stole tens of thousands of limited edition commemorative Bluey coins from a storage facility. The coins are worth about $400,000, according to authorities. During their search of his home, police say they found nearly 200 coins. Many of them, investigators allege, had been sold online for 10 times their value. The coins, which had yet to be released to the public, were produced by the Australian Mint and looked like real coins. The suspect, who police say worked at the storage site, was arrested and faces several charges of breaking and entering.
She sure is a cutie. In fact, Sadie the Collie Husky mix is so adorable, this guy spent his last dime flying halfway across the country to adopt her. Only problem? He had no money left to get home.
I just had faith that it was going to work out.
23-year-old Joel Carpenter fell for Sadie when he saw her on PetFinder.com, an adoption site for homeless animals. So he bought a $300 one-way airline ticket from his home in Portland, Maine to Minneapolis, Minnesota, where Sadie was living in a shelter. The adoption left Joel broke. He and Sadie were faced with a 1,500-mile journey back to Portland. Joel called his mom to let her know he was still far from home.
I am in Detroit right now.
That's when Inside Edition stepped up to the plate. We bought a plane ticket for Joel and Sadie.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
It was the last leg in an exhausting journey home. Safe home, guys.
I'm actually going to need to stop for a second. Some of you may know that I occasionally get affected by some panic attacks.
A TV personality has a panic attack live on air. This is Nate Byrne, a meteorologist for ABC Australia. Nate spoke about it in a recent interview.
What is it that actually prompts it then?
For me, it's 100% physiological. I can't think myself into a panic attack.
Nate penned a piece about his anxiety on the station's website a few years ago. In this most recent instance, he asks the anchor to take over.
Actually, that's happening right now. Lisa, maybe I could hand back to you.
The response when he first wrote about it and spoke about it was that everyone said, oh, thank God, Nate's not perfect. We thought he was perfect, but actually he's now sharing something.
In the article, he said, talking about my anxiety and seeking treatment mean that it's something I can live with and manage.
An Mpox outbreak in Africa has prompted a response from world leaders.
The emergency committee met and advised me that, in its view, the situation constitutes a public health emergency of international concern.
The WHO says there's an upsurge in the virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and cases are rising in other African countries. It says so far this year, the DRC has reported more than 15,000 cases and more than 500 deaths from Mpox, formerly known as monkeypox. Mpox can cause flu-like symptoms such as fever, chills, and body aches, but most patients get a rash consisting of painful, itchy pimples or blisters, according to the Centers for Disease Control. The WHO says it is already in contact with vaccine manufacturers to expedite the production and distribution of vaccines to areas that need them the most.
10-year-old Eva Grace was performing at the Salem, Oregon market when she found, of all things, the $100 bill.
We were still happy. We were like jumping up and down.
Then it happened again. This volunteer for the county dog shelter found a $100 bill in her donation box. This guitarist found $200 bills.
It's amazing.
So who was the mystery philanthropist? The only clue was this signature, Benny, short for Benjamin Franklin, who's featured on the $100 bill. In total, Benny, whoever that is, has left more than $59,000 for total strangers.
The anonymous gift giver is not only generous, but also bold, leaving $100 bills in strollers, even dropping cash in car windows. Yet he or she is never spotted.
For now, at least, the philanthropist wants to remain anonymous, creating more mystery. Just who in the world is Benny?
A Paralympic athlete can now add firefighter to his impressive resume of accomplishments. Zachary Miller was on his way to training when he noticed fire coming out of a truck.
Immediately, I knew, okay, this is an emergency situation. His truck is on fire, and the fact that I can see flames and we're moving at highway speed means that that's a pretty big deal. So I immediately started waving, just as wide as I could to get his attention.
Your truck is on fire! You're on fire! Yeah! Yeah!
All they had to fight the fire were a few bottles of water.
Thankfully, the water was enough. I think it was 2.5 water bottles that we used to extinguish the flames and get it out. We embraced there on the side of the highway because that was insane. And we're so fortunate that it turned out the way it did.
Your truck is on fire!
Check this out. That's a plane making an emergency landing on a golf course in Sacramento and coming to a rest right in front of the pro shop. You could see a golfer almost getting hit. The pilot says he had complete mechanical failure, but ended up with just a minor cut on his hand. Definitely his lucky day.
Is a crunch a crunch? Or do men and women actually eat Doritos differently? The CEO of PepsiCo said women eat Doritos differently.
They don't like to crunch too loudly in public, and they don't lick their fingers generously, and they don't like to pour the little broken pieces and the flavor into their mouth.
She also suggested a new Doritos, just for ladies.
It's not a male and female as much as are there snacks for women that can be designed designed and packaged differently.
Inside Edition conducted our own focus group, equally divided, 5 women and 5 men. They each got a bag of Doritos. Surprise, women and men eat them the same way. After the brouhaha, a tweet from Doritos. We already have Doritos for women. They're called Doritos, and they're loved by millions.
Now you see me? Now you don't. It's called the What the Fluff Challenge.
Hey, Rudy.
And lots of dog owners are posting their results online. As you can see, all you do is hold a blanket in front of you, then quickly run away as you drop it. Poof, you're gone. From the dog's point of view, it really looks as if you vanished into thin air. This husky is totally baffled. Don't worry, fellas. Your best friend will always be back.
A collision causes an SUV to go upside down. This was the crash scene in Yonkers, New York. Watch as a car makes its way into traffic as the SUV heads into the same lane. Then, wham! They collide and the SUV flips over. Police say both drivers weren't hurt and were ticketed for traffic violations.
Powerful stories that change the way you think. Impactful investigations that change the way you see.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times.
Yeah.
What? Do you think that you're a responsible owner of tigers? I damn sure do.
Heartwarming moments that change the way you feel.
Amazing.
Now available in a place that changes the way you watch TV. Inside Edition, streaming.
These softball fans flee for cover as a thunderstorm sweeps through. 70-mile-an-hour winds whipped across the field as they run for refuge. Tom and Kara Berger were at the game in Lawrence, Kansas.
2/3 of the way through the game, a gust came up that we couldn't see the field at all. All hell broke loose.
Over in Omaha, Nebraska, it's raining buckets. This proud old tree fights to hang on. After a fierce battle with the wicked wind, the trunk finally gives way.
There it goes.
My car!
I just got that on film.
This just might be the happiest guy on earth.
Let's have some fun.
Because for more than 2,000 consecutive days, he's visited the happiest place on earth, Disneyland.
So how many days have you been here?
Today's 2004.
You're crazy.
Jeff writes doesn't think he's crazy, but since January 1st, 2012, the 44-year-old has been at Disneyland every single day.
Are you Jeff?
I am.
Oh my gosh, you are an inspiration, sir.
His girlfriend Karen tags along a few times a week, and yup, their relationship began where else? At Disneyland.
Our first date was on day 660.
Every day, Jeff feels like a kid again, riding his favorite attractions, including the spinning teacups.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Oh my gosh.
What is your favorite thing to do when you come visit?
There's just so much magic.
I know, isn't it wonderful?
It is.
It's a daring escape from a house that's about to go up in flames.
Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Come on. Come here.
And that hero herding the 2 little ones to safety is a babysitter. 15-year-old Savannah Strother was babysitting this 1-year-old and her 3-year-old big brother. She even rescues the family dog. We spoke to Savannah today.
What was going through your mind? Were you terrified?
I don't know, it was just kind of a blur. Like, I just remember running out and feeling the heat on my back.
It's really amazing what she was able to do, especially for a 15-year-old, to not panic and to be able to get the kids out safely before the fire spread to that house it's really unbelievable.
The humble babysitter received an award from the local fire department, officially making her a hometown hero. Great job, Savannah.
The video takes your breath away. A teen daredevil climbs a construction crane high above the streets of Manhattan. He teeters on the very top with no harness. One slip and he will plummet to his death. His name is Justin Casquejo. 3 years ago, he made headlines when he climbed to the very top of One World Trade Center, which was under construction at the time. He was just 16.
Yeah.
Were you scared?
Oh, absolutely terrified.
Justin was arrested and charged with trespassing. He was sentenced to community service, but despite his brush with the law, he did it again. In June, he was caught climbing another building in Midtown Manhattan. It was his third arrest in 3 years. He was sentenced to 3 years probation, but the terms are strict. If he climbs another high-rise without permission, he will go to jail.
A teenager is trapped inside a burning car after he crashed into a tree. Lone Peak, Utah police officer Austin Williams tries to pry open the door, but it's jammed. So he breaks open a window in hopes of pulling him out.
His repeated plea was just to help him, and he was yelling, "Get me out, help me, help me."
But it's too hot and intense for the officer to continue, so he's forced to wait for backup to arrive. As more officers arrive, they grab a rope and attach it to a patrol car.
I just saw him hooking it up to it, so I just grabbed onto it and gave it a good yank, and the door actually just popped open, so that's when we were able to get him out of the vehicle.
When we actually removed him from the vehicle, it was a very elating feeling.
The teen's family shared a statement read by the police chief.
We would like to communicate our thanks and gratitude directly to those individuals who have helped to this point.
The teen has since had multiple surgeries after suffering burns on 20% of his body. He is expected to recover.
The whole building exploded. We got caught in the fireball. We were only in it for, I'd say, half a second.
Abby Alexander was 18 years old when she suffered third-degree burns in a gas station explosion. She had recently moved to Cambodia with her family. It's been 5 years since that horrific day. She recently shared on Reddit an update on her recovery journey.
So I just decided to I think I put like almost 5 years post-burn, never thought I'd ever be happy again. And now here I am, pregnant, engaged, and thriving, or something like that.
For more on Abby's story, click below or go to InsideEdition.com.
Jim Walker remembers his sister Carla, who was murdered 50 years ago.
She had piercing, beautiful blue eyes. She had a smile that when she smiled, it took up her whole face. It was beautiful. She was 4'11", 95 pounds on a good day, high energy.
In February 1974, 17-year-old Carla and her boyfriend Rodney were out after their school dance. Rodney said the couple had been ambushed where they parked at a bowling alley parking lot after the dance. Rodney was injured, and Carla was dragged from the car. The kidnapped teen had been raped, strangled, and dumped in a ditch, authorities said. Despite the efforts of law enforcement, Carla's case went cold. In the summer of 2020, science caught up for Carla Walker, as the team working her case found a DNA match for the perp. For more of the story, click below or go to InsideEdition.com.
How do you keep your bread fresh? What is the best way to store bread? Is it not in the refrigerator?
Definitely not in the refrigerator.
Amy Scherber, the owner of Amy's Bread in New York City, says the fridge is a big bread no-no.
I think it gets sort of tough on the outside. I would just leave it at room temperature. I'd say for up to 3 days, maybe 4. After that, it starts to probably get very dried out and it might actually get moldy.
If your bread has been sitting on the counter for a few days and it's feeling a little dry, here's a trick to bringing it back to life. Preheat your oven to 375, then spritz some water on the crust and place the loaf directly on the oven rack. After 5 minutes, voila, your bread is fresh and crusty again.
And if you're not planning on finishing your loaf of bread within a few days, pop it into the freezer, where it will keep for 3 months. But remember, definitely not the fridge.
It's hard to believe any grown-up could steal from 2 kids selling lemonade. But that's just what happened. The suspect drives up in a silver Toyota sedan. He gets out, and the kids think he's their next customer. Off he goes with their $40. Their mom, Annetta Caldwell.
She came in crying and saying somebody robbed me, and I was like, what? What happened?
10-year-old Rebecca and her brother Josh never expected anything like this.
I was pretty confused, and very scared because I never even thought about something like that happening.
They may look like they're conducting official business, but police in Texas say they're just thieves stealing out in the open. The Garland Police Department says they've collected several videos of people allegedly stealing copper wires from utility poles. They're asking anyone who sees suspicious electrical work being done in their neighborhood to contact authorities immediately. A toddler cried for help after falling 12 feet down a PVC pipe. First responders tried to come up with a plan to get 14-month-old Bentley out of the hole quickly and safely. His parents could only watch helplessly as their child screamed. The Mound Ridge Police Department in Kansas says the pipe was just 12 inches in diameter. One officer had an idea.
We're going to try to make a catch pole kind of rig here. See if you can't get that around his shoulders or something.
The makeshift catch pole included a pipe long and narrow enough to go down the hole and a rope to wrap around the child. Within 20 minutes, Bentley was being pulled to safety.
There we go.
Bentley was taken to the hospital for a checkup, but he was unharmed, although still traumatized. A scary situation resolved quickly thanks to fast-acting first responders. A toddler cried for help after falling 12 feet down a PVC pipe. First responders tried to come up with a plan to get 14-month-old Bentley out of the hole quickly and safely. His parents could only watch helplessly as their child screamed. The Mound Ridge Police Department in Kansas says the pipe was just 12 inches in diameter. One officer had an idea.
We're going to try to make a catch pole kind of rig here. See if you can't get that around his shoulders or something.
The makeshift catch pole included a pipe long and narrow enough to go down the hole and a rope to wrap around the child. Within 20 minutes, Bentley was being pulled to safety.
There we go.
Bentley was taken to the hospital for a checkup, but he was unharmed, although still traumatized. A scary situation resolved quickly thanks to fast-acting first responders.
Imagine being on a plane and seeing this. A fellow passenger giving the barefoot guy sitting next to her a pedicure. Ew. Jake and Lene Ruiz were on a flight from Denver to Milwaukee when they recorded the video. And they say the pedicure was just the beginning.
They brought some burritos on board that stunk up the whole plane.
Oh, she was feeding him his burrito airplane style. So she was like...
Yeah.
Jake and Lene eventually saw the humor in that pedicure at 30,000 feet.
At first we were frustrated. We're like, man, this is going to be a long flight. And then we just made light of it and started enjoying the show.
A sweet moment between a dog and his doctor. Misha needed a few hugs and kisses to calm her down as she recovered from anesthesia after being spayed. She was scared and disoriented because her body felt so weird. The precious pooch was just adopted by this family, hoping to give her a better life. Misha was surrendered to the Baltimore Animal Shelter with her brother Charlie when they were 6 weeks old. They came from an unwanted and unexpected litter of puppies. The family couldn't afford the veterinarian bills, so to be sure these puppies were healthy, they turned to the shelter for help. Now that Misha is a bit older, she's ready for a new family to love her and give her plenty of hugs and kisses as well.
Oh, there she is, a sweet little baby.
Powerful stories. Impactful investigations.
How many times has your car been stolen?
5 times. Yeah.
What? And a little bit of fun.
Your spear's in the pool!
On Inside Edition streaming.
Good boy, baby.
It's an emotional reunion between a golden doodle and his owner after the dog was thought to be lost forever in the wilderness. Video shows a traumatized 1-year-old Bentley hesitantly walking towards his owner after wandering the Colorado Rocky Mountains for nearly 3 weeks. The pooch is dehydrated and malnourished. His fur is matted, but he finally recognizes his mommy. Bentley goes into her arms. 21-year-old college student Samantha Orr is overwhelmed with relief.
He's okay.
Bentley was lost after a horrific crash while off-roading. The Jeep would plunge 600 feet down a cliff. Samantha's mother was killed. The college student suffered rib and back injuries. Bentley was ejected and spent the next 19 days wandering around, lost and trying to survive.
I'm just so grateful for everybody who helped.
What's that moving around under the pool cover? The horse had fallen into the pool and fortunately was rescued before he could get into a serious jam.
You may want to get out of the way. This wild video shows a dust devil blowing beach umbrellas into the air. It happened at the Blue Mountain Beach on Florida's Emerald Coast. There was lots of screaming, but thankfully no one was hurt. Officials are pushing for new guidelines for umbrella manufacturers to ensure they can withstand winds of up to 30 miles per hour.
Hillary Harris was thinking of moving. Her house in Eau Claire, Wisconsin was quaint, but she hated the house next door. When these newcomers moved in, Hillary says she had enough.
Here we go again.
Hillary's husband, Lance, got to know the new neighbor. He found out her name was Dawn, and she came from Greenwood, Wisconsin, just like Hillary, who had been adopted when she was a baby. For Hillary, the final piece of the puzzle came when she learned her neighbor's last name was Johnson.
And I knew it had to be my sister.
Hillary had found her long-lost sister.
We have the same dad, don't we? And I'm like, oh my God, how can this be?
I could not believe my sister was living next door to me. And it is magical and crazy.
How embarrassing! Her hand got stuck in a toilet. And as if that wasn't enough, video of the crazy incident was posted on social media. Gracie Henderson found herself in quite the predicament after she reached into her blocked toilet. Gracie's watch got caught in the pipe. She was extra embarrassed because she is a medic. She knew how it would sound.
You know, it's not really stuck. I'm not really about to call 911 for this. We do all kinds of deal with crazy stuff, but I have never made a hand stuck in the toilet call.
Imagine how she felt after she was told they had to remove the toilet while she was still attached to it. The firefighter knocked a hole in the toilet, unclipped the watch, and Gracie was free.
Oh my God. This is it. This is my best friend from now on.
How embarrassing! Her hand got stuck in a toilet. And as if that wasn't enough, video of the crazy incident was posted on social media. Gracie Henderson found herself in quite the predicament after she reached into her blocked toilet. Gracie's watch got caught in the pipe. She was extra embarrassed because she is a medic. She knew how it would sound.
You know, it's not really stuck. I'm not really about to call 911 for this. We do all kinds of deal with crazy stuff, but I have never made a hand stuck in the toilet call.
Imagine how she felt after she was told they had to remove the toilet while she was still attached to it. The firefighter knocked a hole in the toilet, unclipped the watch, and Gracie was free.
Oh my God. This is it. This is my best friend from now on.
This wood is only safe for one person at a time.
After living in her Tennessee home for 20 years, Amanda Blunt noticed cracks in the walls. A large sinkhole developed underneath Amanda's home, making the simple task of walking around something you have to concentrate on. She says it's been 2 years since her home has had floors.
As long as the engineers say that it's safe and there's cracks up there, then we're okay with living here.
The limestone found in much of Tennessee can be prone to sinkholes, but years before this happened, Amanda bought sinkhole insurance.
I would have been bankrupt, like completely bankrupt, if I'd had to fix this myself.
The cost to save this house has reached almost $400,000. Because of the forethought to buy insurance, Amanda has only had to pay $4,000 out of pocket. She shares her story in hopes that others will be prepared.
It's the situation every dude dreads.
I just shot a nail into my leg.
You heard right. This guy accidentally shot himself with a nail gun. At first, it looks like he's going to use some pliers to try to get it out, but he thinks better of it. Then help arrives. Even as he's being taken to the hospital, he continues shooting his selfie video.
It's starting to be a little more painful.
In the hospital, he's groggy and getting ready to have the nail surgically removed. And yes, the camera continues to roll.
Think happy thoughts.
Here's the nail the doctors removed. I spoke to contractor Derek Hinckley. Did it go into the bone?
It really did not hit anything major. It just went into my muscle fibers, and I mean, that was painful, but it could have been a lot worse.
84-year-old Margaret was a contestant on The Price is Right with a chance to win a $16,000 car if she got a hole-in-one. First, she got a quick lesson from Drew Carey.
I'm just looking at the line. I just lined it up on the line. That's all I did.
And then she went for it.
No.
Her first attempt didn't go as planned, but thankfully, the game is called hole-in-one or two.
You got one more chance to make the putt. Here we go, folks. A lot of money at stake. Yeah! Wow! Look at that.
And even with her unusual putting style, she won the car. Hopefully she'll take up golfing now. Get ready for a really hard landing as a GoPro positioned on the wing catches it all. The plane skids across the runway.
On the way down, I was like, dear God, like, help us.
Wes Arnold was piloting the plane, which he purchased last year.
Once we were on the ground, I could feel the propeller hitting the ground and the belly sliding.
He says his instructor, who was also on board, miscalculated the landing outside Los Angeles, forcing the rough landing. You can hear their conversations as they exit the plane.
You good? Yeah. No. Good pressure airplane. It's all good. It's not good.
Look at all the damage.
So that's what happens to your propeller if it hits the ground. This one's curled up like a piece of paper. These things are like, $20,000, so that hurts to see.
I hate getting emotional, but when I talk about it, I relive that feeling.
Former flight attendant Paul Polivanito is walking 210 miles while pushing a beverage cart from Boston Logan to Ground Zero in Manhattan. He will walk the path that American Flight 11 took before hitting the World Trade Center on September 11th.
It was just horrific. They were running through cabins that were sprayed with mace, relaying messages to each other while one was on the phone. For someone that was trained by 5 airlines, I don't know if I could have done it. And I felt like somebody has to do something. I looked at the beverage cart and I said, I'm going to push it from the gate they left. These guys were just regular citizens, but they fought terrorism. And really, I'm just pushing the cart. This is the best way for me to honor these guys, is to keep their legacy alive.
He's the humble hero whose bravery saved a baby from a watery grave. It happened on a bridge in Ocean City, Maryland, when a multi-car collision left this pickup dangling precariously over the concrete barrier. The force of the collision ejected the 18-month-old girl out of the vehicle and into the water of this bay. That's when another motorist got out of his car and without hesitation climbed over this barrier and dove into the chilly waters to the rescue.
I popped up, swam over to the girl, lifted her out of the water, and looked at her. Her mouth was open, her eyes were semi-open.
Boaters saw the incredible rescue unfold. The hero climbs up the ladder and hands the child over.
I had to go over and shake his hand. I had to see who took the jump and made the plunge, for lack of a better term, to save this child. Without his heroism, she wouldn't be here.
A guy on a motorcycle sees something up ahead.
Oh my God!
It's flames, and he springs into action.
Call the cops! Call the cops!
He asks a neighbor if anyone's home.
Any kids? Anybody in the house?
Then he runs to the front door to warn the homeowner. No answer. He races around the back.
Anybody over there?
Then he grabs the garden hose. He gets to work hosing down the fence. Neighbors jump in to help. Then he opens the gate and sees the source of the flames. A backyard patio structure is engulfed. The guy takes total charge of the crisis. He even tells the homeowner what to do to make sure the fire doesn't spread to the home.
Get buckets of water so it doesn't get to the house.
We spoke to the hero, Alex Hillers.
It was extraordinarily hot. I almost passed out a few times.
He works feverishly to keep the fire under control until finally the fire department arrives to finish the job.
I happened to be at the wrong place at the right time.
What is Inside Edition? It's this. And this. And this. And also this. It's sometimes this. It's never this. But it always brings you more to the story. And now it's always available. Inside Edition streaming.